Gift of the Givers say they've been inundated with calls from community leaders and businesses in Kayamandi informal settlement pleading for help. More than 300 structures were destroyed in a fire yesterday at about 4 p.m., leaving about 1,000 people displaced. Residents are concerned that strong winds forecast for the area will make matters even worse. For more on this, we're joined by Gift of the Givers spokesperson Ali Sablay. Ali, very good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What is the situation at this point? I mean, are we seeing the situation in control at the moment, and how has the response been, at least from your side?
There's total destruction in Kayamandi at the moment. While we were busy at another fire in KTC, where close to 130 people have been left displaced, we received a call from community members and business people asking for our assistance as the informal settlement in Kayamandi is on fire. Before that, hour before that, we were called by a joint operation meeting by the Western Cape disaster risk management teams, putting the province on high alert for possible floods and storms, as the weather level warning has went from level warning 6 to level warning 9, which is extremely high. And going through our minds at that time was we hope and pray that no informal settlement will catch fire, as the weather patterns does not look good at all. An hour after that, we received a drastic call from Kayamandi. We're close to over 300 structures has burnt out, over 1,000 people displaced. As I'm speaking to you, there are heavy winds going through the Western Cape. It does not look good at all. So these residents of Kayamandi is going to be suffering a double blow. Firstly, the structures is completely burnt out. It's impossible to rebuild now with the excessive winds going through the area. I'm going on site this morning again with community members and leaders to see if we can provide alternative accommodation for the affected families. Gift of the Givers teams will be on site at 10:30 to provide the families with humanitarian aid in terms of blankets, personal hygiene items. There's a lot of babies, so baby care packs. We will then be providing the family with hot meals for the next 5 days, and we will be working closely with the authorities to see where we can accommodate them, because it's impossible for them to be building any structures or going near the site in the next 48 hours as weather level warnings are at its highest, and it's encouraged for people to stay off the roads and for informal settlements to take the necessary precautions.
I mean, I can imagine, though, the issue of rebuilding and relocating those that have their properties and have been damaged by this fire is almost hard in that there isn't a lot of places. But how is that process going, and are you getting support in terms of the issue of relocating?
We are getting this morning when I'm going on to site, there's a meeting with a community leaders with the local municipality to see what alternative accommodation we can provide these families. They have, it's no questions, they have to be relocated by today. It's impossible for them to be living out in the open, because the worst thing is for us to receive another call that people have been injured or possibly a loss of life of the heavy rains that's coming down. So there's many elderly people and children who are affected by this fire. So there will be no alternative for them but to be moved to a place of safety. Once they are moved to that place of safety, we will be assisting them as well in terms of providing some, making it accountable for them to have a temporary accommodation until the storms have passed, because tomorrow is the most intense day of the storms coming through. We are on standby as well, as there are many high-lying areas identified by the South African Weather Services that will be affected. And you know, this is the fifth fire we are dealing with in the last 6 days. So we are quite concerned, not only by the fire victims of Kayamandi, the other fire victims as well, because they have not been properly provided shelter as well. So you can just imagine the extent of evacuation that has to be taken place in some of the informal settlements, especially those lying in the low-lying areas.
Is there an estimate, Ali, of how many people are we dealing with that needs to be relocated, that need to be accommodated? As you say, this is not the first fire. There's been a spate of fires that we've seen over a period of time.
If we take all the figures together, just over the last 5 to 6 days, including Kayamandi, of the amount of fire victims we've been dealing with, is close to 2,000 people. Some of them have been assisted by the employees by the employers with temporary structures, purchasing of temporary structures. Others are staying with family and friends, and we encourage those who are staying with family and friends to not move from there. Stay with your family and friends, as the weather patterns are not looking good. Those who are living in the low-lying areas, and you know that there's a danger of your place being flooded, we appeal to you to evacuate, as this can put not only your life in danger, your family's life in danger as well. So we ask you to take that call to evacuate. The weather warnings are going around, and it's looking not good at all. It's a level warning 9, extreme as the floods as the Western Cape experienced last year, September. So it's definitely going to be one that we should be taking caution of, and this is definitely a double blow for the families of Kayamandi who suffered that severe fire yesterday.
Ali, are the residents themselves, those that have suffered in this fire, that have lost their homes, are they keen and willing to move? Because we've seen in the past where people who get attached to a particular place, even after a disaster, they still want to return there. Do they understand the need to be relocated, even if it could be for a particular period of time?
Yes, they have. Community leaders have spoken to them. When we were on site at the fire in Nyanga KTC yesterday, we spoke to the community. They understand that their places are going to be flooded. There's no place at all. It's just a piece of plot. And it's 100% rain predicted, strong winds. Some of them were children. So they realize what danger it is to be out there. And they are willing to take heed to that call, to evacuate, to go to a place of safety. And the next role is, when we go to that meeting this morning, that the alternative accommodation is being made available so that the process can be started in the next few hours to get these people to a place of safety. Because once the rains come down, it will be impossible for them to survive out there in the cold. It will be impossible for them to do anything at their plots, as the place will be completely flooded.
You spoke about businesses and community leaders coming through to assist. What sort of assistance beyond relocating the residents is being offered or needed at this point in time, Ali?
No, on the record, from December till today, it's probably over the 50th fire Gift of the Givers is dealing with in the Western Cape alone. That's close to 20,000 people that we've assisted. So you can just imagine how far our resources have to stretch. So there's always an urgent need of blankets, clean drinking water, personal hygiene care items, baby care packs, and of course school uniform and stationery. So that's always a huge need for that, because we do not know, especially with the level warning of floods being issued now by the provincial government and the relevant authorities. There's already calls coming through of people's roofs being blown off in Sablay, in Makassar, and in other parts. So you can just imagine how many, if this floods do come through, how many thousands more people we have to assist, and resources comes in this week. By the end of the week, is completely distributed to disaster relief areas all around the Western Cape.
And just finally then, as you say that there could never be enough because of how often these disasters do happen. Are you getting maybe assistance from government, or again, is it still from private donors and citizens alike that keep a company like Gift of the Givers alive and able to assist those in need?
We'd like to thank Corporate South Africa. As soon as a disaster occurs, Corporate South Africa is always on hand to give us, always there to lend us a hand in terms of purchasing these items, assisting the disaster victims, whether it's floods or fires. There are many corporate companies that come through when the call is headed out, or when news goes out of disasters for these underprivileged families, for those affected. So we'd like to thank them. There are a few individuals who on their personal capacity will donate, And in terms of being the relief aid being distributed, they understand the urgency and disaster of assisting these families, because sometimes it can be an issue of where people have to wait days or weeks for assistance. And when Gift of the Givers get on site, we understand the trauma and stress these families go through. Our main concern is to get them assistance, not tomorrow, not in the week, but today. And that's what we're doing for the fire victims of Kayamandi. We have our teams, currently as I'm speaking to you, we have our teams at warehouse preparing for the necessary relief aid if any flooding has to occur. So we are always trying to be one up and always to be ready. If that call comes for assistance, our teams will be on the ground.
Ali Sablay, thank you so much for coming through to speak to us. Ali is the spokesperson of Gift of the Givers as they continue to assist those not only at Kayamandi but those that have been affected by the fires. As you heard, that at least over 5 fires have happened in a short period of time. But if you look back in an extended period of time, it's way more than that.